December 21st, 1969. I came back to the States the 15th of July, 1970. She met me at the airport. She looked at me. She said, "You ain't the man I married." She told me just as blunt, "You're not the man I married." I wasn't. The old man had gone. The new man had come in. I only weighed about 148 or 50 pounds when God saved me. And right after I got saved, I went up about 180. She told me she didn't want anything to do with me. She wanted a divorce. And she asked me for it. And I gave it to her. Amos 3:3 said, "Can two walk together simply agree?" Now, if I want to go this way and you want to go that way, what do we have in common? I wanted to live with, and I was hoping in my heart that we would stay together and live together forever. But it wasn't God's will for it to materialize. She wanted a divorce, and I gave it to her. And that's the way it is today. In every family, God said there'd be 5 in a family. 3 against 2 and 2 against 3. Mother against daughter and daughter against mother. Father against son and son against father. Daughter-in-law against daughter-in-law, mother-in-law and mother-in-law against daughter-in-law. In every family, it's like that. It's like that in every family. No one exempted. Anyone you can talk to today has got a family, and you go to talk with them. Before you know it, they're telling you about their problems. Their brother doing this, their sister doing that, and their wife doing this, or this person is doing that. In every family you go to, anyone you talk to, they'll tell you these type of problems exist among them. And it does, because God said it will come to pass. So God has given us a way to arm ourselves, that we got to put on the whole arm of God, that we know how to defend ourselves against the wiles of Satan, because he's going to throw his fire darts at you. And if you have not put on the breastplate of righteousness, the helmet of salvation, you have your feet shod with preparation of God, take the shield of faith, and praying without ceasing, and all supplication and perseverance for the saints. I'm not talking about for yourself, for the saints. So I'm bored. I had a nephew that called me today. I'm bored. I said, well, pray for me if you're bored. Pray. He's bored. Talking about he don't know what we're going to do with himself. I said, you told me last year, you're a man of God. You done went to school and got this degree, and then you this and that, and you don't know how to deal with problems you're dealing with right now? Because people won't talk to him the way he wanted them to talk to them. If you talk, that's good. If you don't, that's still good. I know what God done for me and where he brought me from and what he brought me out of, and I'll never forget that. I'll never forget it. 1969. How many years ago that been? 40 what? 43? 43 years. God had kept me sanctified and holy because I wanted to be kept. When I was in Vietnam, right after I got saved, God started me teaching class over there among the airmen on the base there, and I would have about 13 or 14 students every Wednesday night. And one guy by the name of Edwards up in Savannah, Georgia, he's a PhD up there now. But anyway, that night we were all reading the Bible and sitting there, and the Viet Cong sent a lot of, what you call it, the mortars on us that night. And everybody, we had foxholes between all the tents. So everybody, because the tents were like, what we were saying, it was nothing but that type of material stuff. So they had foxholes dug between each tent. And we would go out there when the mortar rounds would be coming in. But anyway, this particular night, everybody was running out of barracks there, and all of us was sitting there studying the Word. About a half an hour, 40 minutes later, everybody come in. They say, y'all crazy, y'all lost your mind. You see how the mess hall over there been hit and almost tore up? Water was flying everywhere. But I'm telling you this to let you know the type of God we serve. He's everywhere. People say, well, he's not over in Vietnam, but doesn't tell that lie. He's everywhere. Long time ago, the white people used to tell us they had to go to Africa to preach to the blacks and the whites and the Ethiopians and people over there. And they had the word way before we got it. But due to our ignorance, and they kept us ignorant to a certain degree, this is why we didn't know. And a lot of the religious people in authority, the blacks that did know, they didn't teach you any better. They wanted to keep you in bondage as well. But anyway, this guy Edwards that night, he was sitting there with us. And he was a highly educated person, and then he went to church, he was Baptist, but he didn't know God. And I just got saved. Anyway, Edward looked around when everybody was coming back in, and he looked at me, he said, you know, I'm usually the first one out of this tent into that foxhole. But you know what happened? God protected us all the time. I didn't even hear us round. I didn't hear anything. And everybody said, well, we didn't hear. All that noise going around, and God holds our ears, protects us around us. To let you know what type of God is, He lets you know how He can protect you in the midst of all the situations and problems that you're involved in. But from that day until then, he's been a new man, because he was the first one to Bible study every night. Every Wednesday we would have Bible study. Let you know this is for real. This is for real. All God said when you come out of darkness into this light is to walk in the Scriptures. Sanctify yourself with the words. Sanctify yourself with the words of God. And when you begin to sanctify yourself, like I said earlier, you got to read it, you got to study, and then meditate in it both day and night. And when you do that, you begin to see yourself pulling off the old man, the new man come on. But the true believer, when he was born again, the old man leaves out immediately and a new man comes in. So God gives you that hunger and thirst, to hunger and thirst after righteousness. So this is what you get if you get to put it into your mind, your soul, and your spirit. You got to feed the inner man, the spiritual man. Because if he's not fed, you'll die. You'll die. It's like the sister said, the flesh is always warned against the spirit. I mentioned earlier, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eye, and the pride of life. Those three things, which is said in 1 John, the second chapter, 15, 16 verse. It tells you the lust of the eye, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of life got all of us into bondage. And it's got us into that because we love the flesh more than we love the spirit. We love the flesh more than we do the spirit. But whichever one you love the most, you're going to feed that one the most. You're going to feed them. But if you don't feed them, how will they ever be fed? God is not going to just come down here and feed you. He's giving you a mind. When He gave you eyes to see, gave you ears to hear, and a heart to believe. That's what Paul told them in the book of Acts, the 28th chapter. The last thing he told them, he said, unless God come and heal their eyes that they can see, and heal their mind that they will understand, and heal the ears that they can hear, they'll never be healed. So let no man boast or brag. It's not by power, but it's not by might, but by my spirit, says the Lord. Nothing you can do, and nothing you will ever be able to do to save yourself. None of us can save ourselves. We didn't pull ourselves out of the darkness, but God pulled us out. People say, well, I was searching, and they found. Now, if you're searching for something, that means you're a knowledgeable person, and you've been exposed, and you know about this, and how you going to search for it when you know when you got it? How you know when you got it, that is the right thing. If God didn't motivate you and activate your mind and baptize you with the Spirit to let you know whether you're on the right track. But people want to say, I did this. But they want to give praise to God. I was getting ready to have an affair with a Vietnamese prostitute, and God stopped me and said, don't touch that woman, that's your sister. From that day until this one, the only woman I slept with, my ex-wife, one time, she let me touch me and then touch nobody else since that time. I've been living sanctified and holy since that time, because I want to be kept. 43 years. You can live a unit, if you want to call it that. 12:19, the book of Matthew tell you that. Some of us are units because man made us that way. Man made us that way. You take the homosexuals and people of that nature, man made them that way. They weren't born that way. We all were conceived in sin and shape of nature. All of us were. But when you take a man, a woman want to be a woman, want to be a man want to be a woman, man made them that way. They weren't born that way. They was born into sin as we all are. We all are sinners and saved by grace in a sense of speaking. But some are eunuchs because they were born that way physically. Some of us are mentally retarded or physically retarded. And this is why we can't do the things, and this is why we're doing what we're doing.
Go ahead, Algie.
And some are that way because we want to be that way. Because like the young man told me in Vietnam, he was showing me that scripture. He said, I'm the holiest man because I love women. I said, well, a lot of people say that. I said, but when God gives you power over these powers, and if you love Him, you're going to yield your body to God. You're not going to walk in the street continuously when you know what you're crucifying Christ afresh. You're not going to do that. Putting Him on the cross afresh every time you sin willfully and saying you love Him. No, you can't do that. If you want to go back and then you come. Because you're coming back to a church without any wrinkles or spots. And this is where we got to present our bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable to God, which is our reasonable service. That's all He asks us to do. Present our bodies a living sacrifice. And we can do this by just being obedient to the truth and walking in the truth and glorify God in our temples and in our bodies. The way of a transgressor is hard, but not the way of Christ's cross. When you want to rebel or kick against the prick, it's hard. But when you want to do what's right and glorify God in your temples and be that salt of the earth, ever giving flavor and season to the laws of the dying generation, there's no weapon that's formed against you can prosper. But you can glorify God in your temples. And that's all God asks us to do, to glorify Him in our temples. And we can do this if we want to do it. Because one day we all got to stand before Him on that great day of judgment. Where He got to judge all of us, all that we've done in these bodies, to give an account. You got to give an account. We're all here to encourage one another, and strengthen one another, and warn one another, and admonish one another, and enlighten one another, instruct one another. This is what we're here for. That's what church is all about. To encourage one another. And if we are not yet doing that, like I said earlier, you can say in Philippians, first chapter, Philippians, the first chapter, or the third chapter talks about in pretense. The third verse. No, the first chapter, the 18th verse. It says, in pretense, some of us are preaching pretentiously. Not because we love God, but there are some people who are preaching it because they love God. But there are some of us are great pretenders. Years and years ago, these young teens way back in the early 50s, mid-50s, there was a group, I don't know whether they still exist or not, the Platters. Anybody remember that group? I don't know if people are too young, I know my sister does. But they sang a song, The Great Pretender. Oh yes, I'm the great pretender. And see, that's what a lot of us are doing today. We pretending to be something that we are not. Pretending to be something that we are not. You have to pretend with God. He wants you to be for real. Love Him with all your heart, your mind, your soul, your body, and your strength. And purify these bodies and sanctify them and live holy. Because you can't just live whole in your mind and in your soul, but you got to live whole in your body too. You got to present your body as a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable to God, which is our reasonable service. That's all He asks us to do. And if you do that, you will glorify God and magnify God and wait on God. If God comes this very moment, you'll be ready to go with Him. But you got to live a clean, a holy, and a sanctified life. This is a real subject matter tonight, sanctification and holiness. Everybody now want to talk about getting wealth, a big car, a big house, a new home, a new daddy, a new daddy, a new daddy. You don't care anything about the souls. Living a pretentious life, pretending to be something that they're not. Want to impress the Jones. They want to be like everybody else. But one day God's going to knock at your door. He's going to knock. Say, I did not tell you to do this, and did not tell you to do that. Be too late then. Right now it's the time to harden not your hearts and soften your hearts and ask God to come in and sup with you and you sup with Him. He be your God, you be His people. And ready to run for this life because there's no other hope in this world. Our times are ending rapidly. Rapidly. Any moment, any day, any hour, it could come. And the way that we are living here in this earth and on this earth, any moment Christ can come. Because what is yet to be fulfilled in the Bible that God did not prophesy will come to pass? You name something that has not been fulfilled in the Bible. Name one incident, anything that He mentioned. I mentioned father against son, mother against daughter. Satan, his friends, telling us of the ancient life, he said right in the pulpit. He was like that when Christ came here. Satan was in the pulpit. When Christ went on, said there'll be wars and rumors of wars. Wars and rumors of wars. And we have that right now today. If you know it in the father and the mother house with the children, you know it's going to be in the church. It's going to be in our schools, our colleges, our universities. It's going to be all of those places. And our government and militaries, they're worse than anywhere.